And we're live. It's Firearms Friday on the Brushfire Mind. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we got a couple things to talk about. We're going to do our Firearms Friday, and I had an appointment this morning, so we couldn't do the show at our normal morning time. So we're coming at you with an evening stream. Hope you can join us, and if at a minimum you can listen to us with your coffee tomorrow. Um, Thanks for all the support. We've had a wonderful surge in subscribership of late, and that's deeply appreciated over here. Make sure if this is your first time watching the show, like, share, subscribe. Or as I can see, we've got enough views here and there that I'm starting to see some numbers coming from YouTube. I know some of you are watching and not subscribing, so do me a favor and click that button, please. Now tonight we're going to do our regular DRT. We're going to talk about the Georgia hate crime bill. We're going to talk about Carla Fiorina, and we're going to talk about shootings in the Chaz. Now, I'm gonna try to keep this show under 1 hour. We'll see what happens. So, we're gonna start, I think, with our DRT, and it is a DRT, correct?
Oh yeah.
Wounded security guard fatally shoots man and woman outside Riverside nightclub. So we're in California. A man and woman were killed early Monday morning in a shootout with a security guard outside a Riverside nightclub, leaving the guard wounded, police said. Um, at El Calentano, the man and woman died at the scene. Riverside Police Officer Ryan Railsback said their names were withheld pending notification of the relatives. Police were unsure of the relationship between the man and woman. The security guard was hospitalized in stable condition and expected to survive. His name was also not released. Okay, Mario Ramirez, whoever this blue check mark is. Authorities say the suspected shooter at El Calentano nightclub in Riverside was kicked out for appearing to be belligerent before he shot the security guard. Well, that would appear to be belligerent, I suppose. The guard fired back, killing the male driver and woman passenger. So, wait, did they? The pair left in their vehicle and drove around before returning to the area where they reportedly shot the security. Okay, so they went and got in the car and came back to do a drive-by, and the guard returned fire and killed them both.
Yep, after taking a round to the leg.
So
This dude's boss.
this guy's a nightclub bouncer, basically, right?
Right?
And wounded, brother. We
I know, right?
we proud of you. And I tell you what, if anybody can find out the name of that security guard, or if this happens to get to him, brother, if you see this show or somebody gives you a call and tells you about it, I'll keep a lookout. If I see your name released, I'll try to get in touch with you. And brother, if you reach out to us and we'll come on the show and talk about your experience, I will more than happily send you a complimentary white hat because you deserve one.
Yep. Yep. So, in summary, they're in the club. They've had a bit too much to drink. I think we can assume they're acting like assholes. They get tossed out of the club. They leave. They come back. They open fire on the security guard. They hit him in the leg. And the security guard says, "Not today." And he punches not one but two off buttons.
Forever. Okay, not today. I want to add that one to the clip box.
Yeah. Ooh, I hope you're right with Jesus. Because, whoops. And I mean,
Not today.
not today. Nope. Yeah, and as you go on and you read the rest of the article, the musician who was performing at the club actually deserves some props too, because he ran outside, took off his belt, and used it as a tourniquet on the security guard so that he didn't bleed out waiting on EMTs.
Okay, and let me let me touch on that real quick. I don't know how bad the bleeding was on this one, so the musician may very well have been correct to apply a tourniquet in this case. But Cameron, have you seen the video of the kid that got hit in the leg with a rubber bullet in one of the protests? And then the Antifa medics came over, and the kid's got a scrape. It's a scrape. It's not actively bleeding. There's blood there because he's got a mild abrasion. And somebody goes to apply a tourniquet. All right. I'm a trained combat lifesaver. So just for those that don't know what that is, that means that as part of deployment preparation, I was not a medic. I don't have formal medical training. But the military does take a few of us aside and do an extra round of kind of
Here's how to not die.
Well, you've got first aid, and then you've got this kind of next level first aid that is what we call combat lifesaving, the combat lifesaver course, and it has changed some. When I was active duty, the combat lifesaver course included things like doing a live stick and hooking somebody up to an IV bag to keep them alive until the actual medic could get there. So it's super first aid. It's above and beyond first aid, but it by no means makes me a doctor. But for the purposes of something like you've been hit in the leg with a rubber bullet and have a very mild abrasion, y'all, I wouldn't even put a Band-Aid on it. Come on.
I mean, as mild of an abrasion as you can get from a rubber bullet.
Well, so rubber bullets, not much worse than an airsoft round. It's coming at you a little bit faster, but it's not as sharp and small, right? So unless somebody's up close, it's not going to puncture you. That's the point. Like a high powered airsoft rifle, it'll put one in you.
Not very deep.
Not very deep, but it'll put it in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she said.
It's like just the tip, but with bullet wounds.
Okay.
But to go from I've got a skint knee to quick put a tourniquet on him, y'all, that kid's gonna lose his leg. That's it. He needs to start practicing his alphabet, right up into a round and with repetition on the R.
Just so that we're clear, though, if I ever appear to be bleeding out, I'm okay with anybody slapping a tourniquet on my leg so I don't bleed out. Lose a leg or dead.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But there's a big damn difference between I skint my knee and my femoral artery is just ejaculating hate speech all over the place.
I know. A 9mm hole is a whole different ball game.
Yeah. Well, and even a 9mm hole in your leg generally, until you're talking about actually breaching that femoral artery, the tourniquet is not the answer you're looking for. Not at all. A 9mm through and through in the calf. Patch that bitch.
Ow.
Apply pressure, right? Take off your shirt, wrap it around the leg, and apply pressure. But to be very clear, a tourniquet is when you cut off the blood flow, right? You don't apply a tourniquet to stop the bleeding at the site. You apply a tourniquet to stop the blood from flowing to the site. So, you got a 9mm through and through in the calf, tie a t-shirt around it, good, tight, seek medical attention. You got a severed femoral artery. Now you're talking tourniquet territory. Because now you're asking yourself the question, do I live without a leg? Or do I just don't live? Because those are your options.
I mean, even nicking the femoral artery, like that's, and yet again, who saved the day, Chris? Who saved the day?
A man in a white hat. Well, a good guy with a gun.
That's the one.
He was wearing a white hat in spirit. God, I hope they don't have a picture, do they? So we don't actually see.
No, he killed black people. Dude, he doesn't want his picture out there. This will end up being a hate crime.
Oh, yup.
Yeah.
You're right. Criminals in California. Man, God.
Yeah, honestly, that was the thing that shocked me.
Actually, no,
one of these
no,
we've had.
They weren't. They were white.
I'm certain that it says further down in the article that the male was black.
I will be surprised to see that, because if that's the case, it would be in the
first line.
99 times out of 100, it would be in the headline. Not just the first line of the article, but the headline.
Oh, well, you see, the security guard was probably also black, therefore it's irrelevant. Does that sound really cynical and black-pilled? I'm trying to express cynicism and black-pilling.
No, the race isn't mentioned anywhere in the article. So either the security guard and the shooter were both black, or nobody was black.
Yeah, but I mean, yet again, over and over and over again, the myth of the good guy with a gun. Not exactly a myth.
Nope.
Not even close. Oh, and we've got Danny. It's a party now.
Hey, sugar. You got here just in time for us to hate on women.
You just had to.
I had to. Because... What? So, we just finished our DRT there, Danny, and well, it's time to talk about... Okay, why can't I pause this or make this go... Oh, I hate you. Not you. This thing. I don't need your video played. So, ex-GOP presidential candidate Carly Fiorina says she'll vote for the rapist over the adulterer. So, let me be clear about something. On the whole Biden versus Trump thing, they're trying to hang their hat. The Dems have been hanging their hat for years on this idea that Trump has been credibly accused of rape on several occasions. Go read some of those accusations. It benumbs me. The women that have accused Trump of sexual impropriety, the accusations are things like, well, I'm in adult films, and he invited me to bring a friend and come up to his penthouse hotel room, and we had a really, really nice steak and this expensive champagne, and then after dinner, he tried to kiss me. That's not rape! You nattering shit! That's a man bought you dinner in his penthouse hotel room, and you're a porn star.
I know.
What did you think was happening?
After the Marla Maples thing.
You consented to an invitation. Okay? You consented to an invitation, and then you didn't have sex with him. That is literally the opposite of involuntary sex. That's voluntary, not sex.
Yeah, and
it's 180 degrees semantically oppositive. That makes you not a credible claimant. You know what the opposite of a credible claimant is?
A damn liar.
A fucking liar. That's what you is. And all of the cases are like that. There's some... Oh, Well, God, he's such a monster. He took me for this long walk on the beach, and then he asked me if I wanted to go back to his hotel with him. That's not rape, you nattering idiots. That's called dating.
I know, asking for consent is the opposite of rape.
At most, it really sounds more like flirting or pursuit, but it's not rape. I mean, you got to at least give a guy one unwanted advance. One reasonable unwanted advance. Hey, my name's Chris. Would you like to go get a cup of coffee? No? Cool. That's not sexual harassment or sexual assault, and it sure as hell isn't rape. And if you can't just give a guy the benefit of the doubt when he just asks you out to dinner, coffee, if you can't be approached to begin the process of approaching a developed, intimate, consensual adult relationship. Guys, I've had my 4 kids. I've done my part. There's work to get did. So you need to get out there and get yourself did. We need babies. We need love. We need to make... Okay, I want y'all to go on Amazon and buy a book. It's called Make America Date Again.
So I'm wondering how far down this rabbit hole I'll let you go before I remind you this is supposed to be about Carly Fiorina.
That traitor bitch! Now I'm going to tell you a funny joke. I have not even opened the scotch.
Yet?
I'm working tonight.
No
scotch tonight. Right. I don't even really need to be sober to do the work I'm doing tonight. I just need to be awake.
Hey, Chris, can I ask you do you know how you spell Carly Fiorina?
Oh man, I'm sorry. I was supposed to start this joke for Horseface. He totally plugged that. Here, I'll drink a little bit of scotch. Let's see, what have I got here? I've got a Clontarf Irish Whiskey Reserve. It's
scotch.
It's a poly malt.
But yeah, Carly Fiorina.
Ooh.
Oh, it's good?
Ooh, that's got a caramel to it.
It has a poly caramel?
It's more caramel than peat. Oh, damn, that is...
It's liquid candy. Careful now. Careful there, buddy.
That is tasty.
Okay, but seriously, Carly Fiorina, the horse face, as Donald Trump called her.
Oh. Yeah.
And as Donald Trump called her in the 2016 elections. And man, this baffles me. It really does. Not just because she's supposed to be a conservative Republican and not just, you're not going to do it. Oh, you know how you make her drink? You feed her salted oats. Anyhow. Oh, I'm getting back on track here. But Carly Fiorina, any political aspirations she may have had are gone. They're done. They're over. Yeah, I mean, finito. And you know, there's this weird thing that's happening, and I feel like our audience can watch you. Stop. You had your rant. Let me have mine.
Go for it. You do what you do.
I'm trying. Okay. Anyhow, Carly Fiorina.
I'd do this all day. Anyhow.
Right. I swear I have a point I'm trying to get to, people. I swear. I swear. Frankenstein.
How dare you?
Oh, there is definitely a difference in our shows when they're fueled by coffee as opposed to alcohol. Indeed.
I had the little sip.
Oh well, I pre-gamed.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah, I did
I got
that.
a little double oak on the table here.
Dude, you still have to work.
Mm.
All right, but for real, what's bizarre about this with Carly Fiorina is twofold. There's the first thing, which is the obvious, where she says, well, what we need right now is real leadership, and that can't come from Trump. It's going to come from Joe Biden. And, you just have to ask, how can you possibly think that? I mean, Joe Biden isn't real sure where he is. He occasionally thinks he's still running for Senate. He doesn't,
He doesn't know what state he's in.
he doesn't know the name of his own fundraising website.
He can't tell his wife from his sister. He's got this
And,
weird thing about chewing on her finger.
and as Chris has pointed out, it's not early onset dementia when you're closer to 100 than you are
Then
to
you are
50.
not.
Yeah, like that's just dementia. That just happens somewhere around 80. And the fact that you would call Joe Biden a leader, and this is the guy that in the 70s, described gay people as subversive and dangerous to the state, was worried about integration because it would turn schools into racist jungles.
I mean, this is your guy. This is your guy right here.
And then in the 90s, yes, we hear the horse sounds. I'm so glad you've got that over there. Yes, as Willow says, at this point, it's just onset dementia. It's no longer early onset dementia. Okay, but even up into the 90s, this is the guy that helped with the. I'll wait.
No, go ahead.
I'm trying. I hope this is amusing.
It's terribly amusing. I mean,
hope-
come on, we got Joe biting his wife, and the chewing sound.
And it's so meta.
Oh,
Yes, exactly. But Carly Fiorina and
sorry,
yeah,
that was just I bumped the wrong button. I meant to switch it back to big edge view.
gotcha. Anyhow, but in the 90s, Joe Biden was part of the whole crime reform with the super predators and everything else. And Danny says it's timely onset dementia. That's also a fantastic pun. Anyhow, you know what? Bump Joe Biden. Just Carly Fiorina. Okay, I'm just moving on to my second point. You have thoroughly destroyed the first one. I'm not getting to it. Doesn't matter. Joe Biden's a terrible leader. He's got brain disease. Okay, whatever. There is this curious thing that I feel like Carly Fiorina points out, and it ties back into a lot of the stuff with Black Lives Matter and what's going on. There is one group of people that is a legitimate threat to Donald Trump, and that is college educated white women. They seem to be the only demographic that he is losing support in. Now, that could just be because in the 2018 election, it was not a presidential election, and you've always got skewed results in those time frames because presidential elections bring out everybody, and off-year elections only bring out the people that are really motivated. But What happened in 2018 was that in a lot of ways, the suburbs flipped blue. It's part of what turned Congress blue. We didn't really have a blue wave. It was more like a blue slosh, so to speak. And Carly Fiorina is a college educated white woman. And for some strange reason, she can't look at the situation and go, give the guy with the dementia the nuclear football, or give the guy that doesn't have dementia the nuclear
Okay,
football.
and I'm glad you mentioned the football. Let's go back to Joe. Let's go back to Sleepy Joe for a minute. I know we got off him, but let's get right back on top of it. Has everybody forgotten that Joe Biden was the vice president who thrice on national television pointed at the football? Had to have 3 separate Secret Service members resign because they had the duty of carrying the football, which is the nuclear codes that stay, they stay near the president and the vice president, so that they can, I don't know, conduct the business of the people. Guys, who holds the football, where the football is, used to be an important and guarded national security secret. Joe Biden, on 3 separate occasions on live television, pointed at the football in a time of war as the sitting vice president. An interesting point about that is, as near as we can tell, that was before the reasonably timed onset of dementia that we expect in people who are octogenarians.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, wasn't all that long ago.
Yeah, but look, and here's the thing, and here's
part
of
Willow Bar asks, was it the same, Joe? Don't people change over the years? Yes, dear, people change over the years. For example, sometimes they acquire dementia.
Especially when they get fuck old. But anyhow, it's fascinating to me that if you look at the metrics, as it were, if you throw away COVID and the madness that has been 2020, if you'd gone back 6 months ago,
and meth gators.
Yes, if you'd gone back 6 months ago, I'd have said Donald Trump had re-election locked down to a 99.9% certainty, because if you're an occupant of the White House and the economy is on the upswing, you almost always win. That's just been the trend for like the last century, period. I mean, that's just how it's worked.
And I'm not quite ready to hop on the train that the whole COVID thing was a massive conspiracy by George Soros and the Democrats to tank the economy explicitly for the purposes of preventing Donald Trump's election. However, I think it is a much shorter leap to say the COVID-19 pandemic occurred and the Democrats in every capacity possible have gone out of their way to overreact and extend shutdowns to cause extended and unnecessary calamitous economic damage because it's an election year. And an election year that they're already going to lose. And we'll get to the they're going to lose thing in a minute.
Oh yeah, they clearly decided to take advantage of it. But I guess what I was trying to get to is, what is it specifically about the college-educated white women that makes them so susceptible to this sort of emotional manipulation? You remember the video we talked about a couple of weeks ago where the guy was just a troll. He was just trying to make a point. And he was telling people, I'm with Black Lives Matter. Kneel. And he walks up to that white woman, and it took him 60 seconds to convince her to get down on her knees. I bet you pennies to pesos that lady had a college degree. And she felt like she was doing some moral thing by kneeling in the street in the name of Black Lives Matter. And I know you have to have seen the video where the people are basically holding the Church of Black Lives Matter in the street, and
Oh yeah.
they're chanting. Guarantee you, the majority of those people were college educated. And now it's coming out that in a lot of these riots, in some of these riots, as high as 6 out of 7 of the rioters are white. And there's a large split that's about 50% female. So, what is it that Carly Fiorina has in common with all of these other basically suburban white women that makes them think, I don't like it that you're pulling down statues of George Washington, but what am I going to do? I mean, what's going on there? Because that is the legitimate threat to Trump's reelection. And I looked it up. We're 130 days out from the election
Yep.
of Trump or the guy that used to be Joe Biden.
And while you were talking, I was mostly listening, but I was specifically looking up Peter Boghossian and trying to find. Damn, he had a specific website about it, but they had a website specifically for their academic hoax articles. But these guys.
These guys.
About 3 years ago, these guys, I can't remember her name. I'm sure we'll come across it in a minute, but it's Peter Boghossian and where are the names? Peter Boghossian's the main guy, and anyway, so what they did was,
they threw away their academic careers.
Yeah, they did. The Grievance Study Affairs. Okay, there we go. 7. Here we go. Published and peer reviewed. They used to have all the articles here. They used to have all the articles actually on the page. So, anyway. Okay, so what they did. These guys wrote a boatload of fake academic articles under the presupposition that if they submitted these academic articles to peer-reviewed academic journals. Now, to be clear, when we say peer-reviewed academic journals, if you're not certain about what that is, that means that they were being published as experts in their fields, as people whose doctorates meant that their education on the subject matter is equal to a quality, authoritative opinion on scientific developments, specifically in the scientific fields of sociology. Sociology is a soft science. It is not a rigorous. There is no rigorous academia to any bit of sociology.
I think it'd be a generous.
Yeah, at best, it is basic observation, and then I write a paper that includes opinions and assumptions. But there's no measure of rigor. There's no measure of experimental reproductivity. It's soft science. To be clear, what I'm saying is sociologists and anthropologists are not legitimate scientists. And if you call yourself an ethnographer, you can piss right up a rope with that. So these guys wrote a bunch of academic articles, and what they did is they wrote the articles to be aggressively left-leaning and to use all the right buzzwords. Right? And the point that they intended to make is that even without any academic merit, as long as they're sufficiently social justice-y, they'll get published in peer-reviewed. That means that other PhDs in the field read the papers and said, this is good science that is well written and well researched and meaningful and important enough to publish. And the purpose to publishing, in theory, is supposed to be so that the science that you conducted can become part of the work of doing science. As in, another scientist will have a theory and they'll research material to see if somebody else has had the same theory or had an adjacent theory that can give them ideas on developing their theory, or even tell them that their theory is a bad theory to begin with and they should walk away with it. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Do you remember talking about this, right, Cameron? We talked about it on the show. We did a long live show on it.
Oh no, I remember it specifically. I don't remember the exact paper that they took, but they took a speech that was basically racist as hell, and they removed all of the anti-black slurs and anti-Jewish slurs and replaced it with the appropriate social justice.
You don't remember the name of the paper?
No, I don't.
Oh, I do. It was Mein Kampf. It was literally an excerpt from Mein Kampf, and they just replaced. They literally took an excerpt from Mein Kampf and replaced all references to blacks, Jews, and homosexuals with references to white men.
Yes, and it was brilliant.
I shit you. And that's one of the ones that got published.
So, but I'm trying to bring it home. What does this have to do with the specific effect of the college-educated 20 to 40-something white woman in our society?
I need the list. Bear with me just a second.
Because they're the ones that are on the fence here. Yes, dear, I love you. I'm saying women like you are going to elect or not elect Donald Trump in the next election.
Damn it. Okay, so I can't find the actual list of the articles. That appears to have been memory hold. But they were like the one we just said, the Mein Kampf thing. One of them was the conceptual penis as a social construct. They just don't exist. There's no such thing as gender or sexual difference, and the penis doesn't even exist. The penis is a social construct. You only think you have one, and everybody's actually female, and that doesn't even matter either because there's no gender, and that's the claim. There was one article that was about that argued that if you're a heterosexual male that doesn't engage in anal toy play, that means that you have a high incidence of racial bigotry. What? And they made that claim. And that is why your college educated, I suppose we should say your college adjusted middle-aged white women are going to vote for Joe Biden because they were educated by people who believe that if you say the word social construct, the rest of your argument, it doesn't even matter what your argument is because you've just dropped the trump card, so to speak. Well, blah 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 blah. Happiness is a social construct. It doesn't really exist, and therefore it's white supremacy.
But why do you think it affects this group apparently disproportionately? Is it just simple math? Is it because women
because women go to college and they get useless degrees?
I mean, that's what I was going to ask. Is it because the largest group of women, the largest group of people attending college are white women? I mean, by the raw numbers, that's who gets into college more than anybody else, is white women.
And so they get useless degrees.
Yes.
But not just
So,
useless degrees, very specific useless degrees. By the numbers, more college students are white women than any other category, and by the numbers, more of them are going into liberal arts colleges where they're studying basically to the exclusion of all other materia, including the actual liberal arts. They're studying things like, they come out with a humanities degree with a concentration in gender studies or African American studies or Native people studies, one of the grievance studies.
so you think it is just pure math?
Yeah.
Now,
Which, ironically, is one of the things that they're not studying.
I was going to make that joke. I was just going to lead up to it a little more. Now, here's the real question. Is this sort of a happy accident that the left has capitalized on?
No.
Or somewhere 3, 4, 5 decades ago, somebody said, if we can get the white girls to go to college and make sure they've got some kind of daddy issue by the time they leave college, even if they didn't show up to college with a daddy issue, we can run the country. Because seriously, shit up your nose with your patriarchy. I mean, women run things. It's how it happens. It's how it happens.
Danny made a comment. Danny, I actually want to know what your degrees are in. Alex, how you doing, sugar? But yeah, Danny, I'd love to know what your degrees are in. Mine are in philosophy, film, and cryptologic lexicography, and Korean. So.
And I didn't go to college. I admit it. There you go.
Yeah, but you got a job.
Oh, that's right.
And some film credits. Believe it or not, guys, we're not just a YouTube channel. We've actually made some damn movies.
And the funny thing about college is you don't have to go to college to read the books.
Correct. I read. I often quip that I suffered through high school, but I got my education at a Waffle House. And that really is the case in a very real way. Because I read a shitload of books sitting at a Waffle House and talking to a mean old bad bald man.
Ah, yes. I'm familiar with the mean old bad bald man. Your lovely wife is in the comments, and she says college isn't necessary depending on your field. I'd actually extend that and say college isn't necessary. Training is necessary. That's what's necessary.
Yeah, that's... Okay, so the academy, the lyceum, the point to those was to be a place where people gathered and discussed thoughts. Making it the university, in the early development where schools went from being essentially a social club for a sort of an elite class. Socrates was a retired soldier turned scholar. A lot of people don't know that, but a lot of people don't actually know this. Socrates, brilliant, terrifyingly powerful mind. Turns out he was also well over 6 feet tall and so feared in battle that the legends say that when Socrates in his youth arrived on battlefields, whole phalanxes of the enemy would flee, having heard that he was inbound.
Yeah, Socrates brought a spear to the party, and everybody said, "Nope, not today."
Nobody wanted to play with Lenny or Socrates. But the Lyceum, the Academy, it was almost a social club, right? Go read the Republic. There's the big dinner party thing there. That's what school was there. And then it became the university to kind of bring everything to. Well, frankly, it's part of it's a big part of what Kierkegaard is talking about in the modern world when he talks about the leveling process. Um, but sorry, I'm ignoring you for just a second, Dan.
We'll come back to it.
And then under the university, that was basically the church taking over, and all study. The only things really taught were philosophy, and it was all. There was metaphysics in there, but when I say metaphysics, what I really mean is that, like St. Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, Anselm of Canterbury, like Augustine, I think in particular, pointed out that based on Aristotle's metaphysics and the theory of the first mover, that basically Aristotle was a Christian before Jesus was crucified. So the academy.
I'm giving you your 3-minute warning because I still want to talk about the hate crimes.
Roger.
It couldn't have been that easy. That big brain was in motion, and all I had to do was throw out that one tiny little pebble, and you tripped right over it.
I think so. I think you tripped me. Yes, dear. Turtles all the way down.
Turtles all the way down. Damn
okay,
Skippy.
So the modern university system refers to itself as the academy, as academia, and I find that use of the language to be deeply insulting. Deeply insulting. It is as if all cows were shipped to the same factory and run through the same meat grinder, and then those individual packages of ground beef were labeled as the various prime cuts.
I looked at Danny's list of degrees. I'll just go ahead and circle back to it. I looked at Danny's list of degrees. She says philosophy, religious studies, women's and African studies, and education. Man, you're awfully smart for somebody with so much bullshit under their belt, Danny. It's amazing.
Well, no, philosophy's solid. Religious studies is solid. Those are useful intellectual pursuits. Danny, we'll have to have a conversation sometime about the experience you had in the grievance studies departments. You said the unmoved first mover. Yes, the unmoved first mover. I understand the semantic specificity that you're hinting at there. Fair enough. It's the argument that Aristotle made in his Metaphysics. It's the same article that Aquinas used in his 5 proofs under the teleological proof. Same thing.
Look, that's all fantastic, and you and I have had many a fascinating conversation about philosophy and the way to think and so forth and so on.
But basically, the modern humanities education is kind of like modern military sexual harassment, what we call SHARP training, sexual harassment awareness, resistance, and prevention. It all consists of the same message: white men are evil, and they will rape you if they look at you. That's basically it.
So how do we appeal to the educated white woman? I mean, because that's what this is going to hinge on.
That's a good question, because I'll have to think about it, because I'm accustomed to trying to appeal to people based on reason and logic, and if you've come through a grievance studies course and still vote Democrat, I don't know that you can spell reason or logic.
Thank you, Willow. I love you very much. Okay, we've got to put the philosophy aside.
Okay.
And maybe in the future we have to confine the parameters of our actual philosophy discussions, because you've read all the books and we know it. We have to talk about the saddest fucking thing that has happened in a long time in the state of Georgia.
So, Brian Kemp is not likely to lose my vote. He's going to have to work real hard to lose my vote, kind of like Donald Trump. Now, on the outset, I like Brian. He's a good guy. I like Trump. He's a good guy. But Brian Kemp, and it'll be hard. It'll be hard for him to lose my vote because I like him.
But this is a step in the
He's been a solid governor. He's been a solid governor for the most part. And the alternative is going to be somebody like, just an open, violent racist like the mayor of Atlanta, Lance Bottoms.
The alternative,
or Stacey Abrams. An open, virulent, racist supporter
Socialist.
of active terrorist and communist organizations, like Stacey Abrams or Keisha Lance Bottoms. So it's going to be real hard. But, buddy, he's trying. He's trying. Oh, that was an unfortunate image to be associated with this. Georgia approves hate crime laws, but critics could say it could be tainted by pending bill that adds protections for police. Oh.
I hate this so much. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I don't want thoughts policed. I don't care if they are the most abhorrent thoughts you could possibly have. If we had a microphone, a speaker set on top of our head, and it broadcast every thought we ever had, none of us would have any friends. Everybody would hate us, because I don't care who you are, what you claim, what your discipline is. You could be some Shaolin monk that hasn't set foot outside of his monastery for the past 15 fucking years, and all you've done is drink water, eat rice, and meditate. And every now and then, you've got a stray, dark thought that just goes woof, and it would terrify everybody around you if they knew you had it. Now, all that being said, we've already got it baked into our legal code where your mindset informs your level of criminality. For example, if you try to rob somebody, you are attempting to cause harm. Okay? Crime causes harm.
No. Hang on a second. We'll back you up a little bit right there. The first thing that you learn in law school, it is not that crime causes harm. Crime is harm. They are the same thing. If you cannot show harm, then you have not shown crime. This is a little
okay, fine. Thank you.
The problem
with
hate crime bill is a little different, though.
Well, thank you, because that actually buttresses my point even better than I had it buttressed myself. So, thank you. Here's the deal, okay? No matter how many times you've seen Star Trek, no matter how many times you've seen Star Wars, and I love The Empire Strikes Back in particular. I love Yoda. I love the philosophy, all of it. It's fantastic. I love it, okay? But hate doesn't cause harm. And you could even argue that hate causes harm to yourself, that it's bad for you, that it's self-destructive. Okay, but hate doesn't harm anybody else. You can hate whatever you want, whoever you want, for whatever reason, and I can think you are the most racist, backwards son of a bitch on the planet, but you're not hurting anybody by having your thoughts. That's why I so dislike hate crime legislation. In fact, I hate hate crime legislation. See, I didn't hurt anybody, but I hate it. I hate it. I hate it with the burning passion of 1,000 supernovas. anytime you're going to say, because you don't like black people, and that's why you murdered this black man, well, that's somehow, I mean, okay, seriously. Are you saying that it is worse that you murdered a black man because you're racist? Or it's somehow less bad because you murdered a black man because you were trying to steal from him? I mean, which one? Which one? What are you saying? You're never going to convince me of this ever. And Georgia was one of only 4 states that didn't have state level hate crime legislation on the books, but because Republicans appear to be intent on being cowards and terrified and capitulating to the masses, they went along with this. And I even bet that there were people that were well meaning. They saw this as an olive branch. We're going to prove to the world that Georgia is not this racist place, this backward place. And it's not going to solve anything. Nobody's going to change their mind. And honestly, I don't care if you're going to include this in your hate crime legislation. You're damn right. I should not be afraid to wear this out in public. You're damn right. And sure, you shouldn't hate cops just because they're cops. I agree 100%. But you lose me when you want to make that a crime. You lose me. And I'm so as excited as I was with Brian Kemp about 6 weeks ago when he said, no, fuck you, we're going to open the state up and we're going to do it a little bit at a time and we're going to show the country it can be done. As excited as I was then, I am now equally disappointed that he went along with it, that the lieutenant governor went along with it, that it easily passed with bipartisan support in the Senate, bipartisan support in the Congress. I mean, everything about this is deeply, deeply disappointing to me. About the only thing that would have been worse for me would been have passing statewide gun control legislation. That's how much I hate this.
Well, let's be very clear. Hate crime bills are explicitly anti-white bills. The the only reason the whole point to a hate crime bill is that so if a white man commits a crime, you can add an additional charge to it. The whole point to the hate crime bill is, well, black people are disproportionately targeted by police officers. No, you're not. You commit more crimes. You can't. Well, we're underrepresented in the government. No, you're not. If you're more than 13% of the government, you're not underrepresented. That is proportional representation.
I'm just disappointed. We talked about this. I called my state senator. I told him to vote no. But I guess I realized real quick that the political winds were used against me. So were swaying against me. It doesn't surprise me that Minnesota does have hate crime legislation. Because here's what's going to happen. And it might not even happen in my lifetime. But what will happen is one day someone else will be the majority and someone else will be the minority. And you will rue the day you sowed storm clouds and reaped the whirlwind. That is going to be the end result of this. You can't police thought. You can't. You can't. And we're almost 9:00.
Yeah, I already clocked in. I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't police thought. You can't. Like, you literally cannot police thought. And how in the world are you really going to prove something was motivated because of some protected class?
You're not going to prove it.
Ironically, you can prove that lefties are all too happy to assault righties. Like, this right here makes you a target. That's for damn sure. but do you think the law is ever going to get applied that way? And I can honestly say I don't want it to be applied that way. I don't want it. Now, maybe it's because I'm not a pussy and I pack a gun, and if you want to cause a problem because I'm wearing a Trump hat, there better be more than 6 of you. But outside of that, I mean, this is ridiculous. I am so disappointed in the governor, the legislature, the state, the all of it, the every bit of it. This is a mark of shame for Georgia. And I don't care that I'm in the minority on this. I don't care that most people think that either this is a good idea or at least think that this is a reasonable compromise, because you're all wrong. You're all wrong.
What Kemp has done here, it just like I said with Trump's police reform executive order, this is Chamberlain-esque appeasement. You are reaching across the table to terrorists and praying that they don't murder you first. You're begging terrorists. I'm sorry. I may be unnecessarily vague here. Black Lives Matter, the organization of Black Lives Matter, and the 8 Can't Wait guys. Hell, let's throw Planned Parenthood in there too. And what's the other one? The Justice Democrats and anyway, these are terrorist organizations. What you're doing with this legislation, Brian, is you are throwing red meat out there to feed the terrorists in hopes that they murder you last. This level of cowardice is not what I voted for you for.
Yeah, it's pathetic. Alex points out in the comments that that Georgia has been trending blue, and it will turn blue sometime in the near future.
I don't think we'll go blue in November. I think that's a little quick.
Not while Trump's on the ballot.
I think we maybe might have if it had not been for the riots. But this isn't entirely high-quality political analysis. Some of this is just hopeful, wishful thinking. I am hopeful that the optics of the Democrat National Committee's active terrorist wings, active military wings, Black Lives Matter, for example, that their absolute just shitstorm of burning down cities and the whole thing with Chaz and all that, I'm hopeful that at least keeps some Republicans from walking away. But more and more, I look at the Republican Party, and I can only vote Republican to try and stave off the encroaching darkness. Because, as near as I can tell at this point, communism is going to consume us unless there's a bloodbath to stop it.
See, and here's the thing, and I wish there was a way. Like, seriously, I'm gonna grab every fucking Republican in the country and shake them by the shoulders and maybe slap them across the face and go, Trump already showed you how to do this. Because this is what's going to turn Georgia blue. You want to keep Georgia red? You don't fall for this bullshit. You do not compromise with the enemy on the enemy's terms. You don't do it. As soon as you accept the proposition that, well, okay, maybe we need to do something about hate crimes. Bullshit. Grow a sack and tell people that hate crimes are unicorns sniffing fairy dust. God, it makes me so angry. It really does. We barely stayed red because fat-ass Gaptooth, well, I'm not even going to finish that sentence. It just...
Well, she tanked her. Part of it is she tanked her election when she filed a lawsuit and put it in black and white that she thinks that black people are too stupid to write their names on their voter registrations. Exact match ID laws are racist because black people can't spell their names. Good job, Stacy. Just throw it out there, why don't you? That was a really clever bit of political maneuvering, you chunky shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think we'll stay red for a while longer, as long as we maintain voter ID laws and we resist this mail-in ballot bullshit. You want to vote? Get your ass up and go to the poll. Oh, I might get the coronavirus. Yeah, you might. You might. Do you want to take control of your own destiny? That requires risk, motherfucker. So risk it.
Yeah, we need to have a whole nother conversation about safe spaces. It's not. It seems like it's a term that's kind of fallen behind, but what has happened is it's become so insidious that it sounds cliche now, and that's incredibly dangerous because it means it's not being talked about. So that needs to be a show that we do soon.
Good. They should cut polling places. They should. God, you know what? I'll make the unpopular statement. Voting should not be easy. It should not be for the lazy. It should not be for the uninitiated. It should not be for them that don't give a shit. It should be for them that are willing to do the hard work. Everybody should have absolutely equal access to voting. I believe that. But that doesn't mean it should be fucking easy.
Okay, and I was just about to close out the show, but Alex just pointed out. Here's a little good news. Thanks, Alex. The Supreme Court this evening blocked Texas Democrats' petition to allow all 18 million voters to vote by mail. That is good news.
That is good news.
The courts should actively resist voter fraud. But,
yeah, you'd hope.
Yeah, well, California. So that's Texas. That's a start. And Alec, okay, I need to wrap up the show because I've actually got some stuff to do tonight. If I had my way, what we would do is we would revoke everyone's citizenship and make them reapply.
Starship Troopers!
Absolutely. All right. And that's all I've got tonight. Hey, guys, tune in tomorrow morning around 10:30. We're going to do a little pop-up with Alex and Danny tomorrow, and that'll be on Facebook on the Polytech channel.
Probably less entertaining. We're going to argue a little less this time with each other, but still, please, check it out. They're our friends. They're awesome. They're sharp people.
Hell yeah. All right. And that's us for tonight. Y'all be safe out there. Oh, it's Friday. Safety brief. Don't fry bacon naked. Don't drive drink. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, farm animals, and videotape. No two at the same time. Be safe, buckle up, and good night.